Hey, welcome back to another episode. Bro, can we talk? I'm joined today by my friend, one of my dearest friends.
Yes, sir.
My brother, my personal barber, my sounding board, and my business partner in some regards. This is the guy who I come to for advice. This is a guy that comes to me for advice.
Yes, sir.
My prayer partner.
Yep.
This is my guy. I'm joined today by Mr. Tarlo Ogletree. Welcome, bro.
Yo. Dame Diggy.
I'm so glad you're here, man. I'm glad to be here in the shop.
Yes, sir.
We are recording here in your business, your place of business, Wave Barbershop, located in Charlotte, North Carolina. At the end of this conversation, what's the audience going to know about you?
Well, I guess that kind of depends on what questions I get asked, of course. But I'm an open book, so whatever questions are fired at me, I'm gonna answer them to the best of my ability. We're gonna have fun with this thing.
Yes, sir.
They're gonna know about me, my business, hopefully, and my life.
Can you share with our listeners how we met and what drew us together as friends for over a decade now?
Yeah. So again, I'm a barber. So I meet a lot of people in the business of barbering. Come across a lot of people. Make a lot of friends, associates, and in this business, you get close with people that you encounter on a regular basis, on a week-to-week basis, especially when you have things in common with different people who are around the same age. We kind of have the same day-to-day issues as far as personal and family life.
For sure.
So I think that through conversations in the barber chair, we kind of found out that we have a lot in common, and we've had a lot of conversations about different things about our family and about businesses and about things that are personal to us. Right. And I think that drew us close.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I remember I was getting cut by Dorica. Shout out to Dorica's D. Scott.
D Skills.
And I remember the brother, he just got so busy, man, at one point, especially when he moved out to his own shop. And the job I was working at the time, I wasn't able to get in, and it allowed me. I said, okay, well, let me start going. And you were my backup barber at that time. But when it came to his schedule being booked all the time and not working with my every 2 weeks needing a cut, he was already booked up on certain days and whatnot. And so
you saying I don't be booked?
Oh, you booked. You super booked now. You better get it in. If you want the master barber to cut you, you bet to get it in.
There it is.
Super early. Yes, sir. What inspired you to become a barber? And how's the journey been in building your own business?
So at a young age, when I would go to the barbershop, nowadays, at least in Charlotte, I don't know how it is in Cleveland anymore, but I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And in Cleveland, once you became a certain age, you went to the barbershop by yourself. Mine might, of course, drop you off or, but I didn't live too far from a barbershop. So I went to the barbershop. My brother and I went to the barbershop by ourselves. And I was always really, really intrigued by everything in the barbershop. From the smell of when I walked into the barbershop, the smell of the aftershave and the astringent and the oil sheen, it would just always be really pleasing to me. And then from that, the camaraderie between the barbers was always really interesting to me as well. How they got along, how they laughed, how they argued, how they talked about sports. So it's always been really intriguing to me from walking through the door of the barbershop.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, I started cutting my brother's hair. He started cutting my hair. And, we just used to kind of have fun with it, cut each other's hair and kind of laugh about how bad the haircuts were.
Yeah.
With the little cheap Walmart clippers. And then on my 13th birthday.
Shout out to Walmart.
Shout out to Walmart.
Potential future sponsor.
There it is. On my 13th birthday, my mom bought me a pair of professional clippers.
13.
At 13. And then I really started getting serious about it. I started cutting my friend's hair with this one pair of clippers. And then eventually, once I started making income on my own, I worked at a very young age.
How much were you charging for a haircut back then? What year is this?
This had
13,
to be
you were
13. I was born in 75, so I was 10 in 85. Must have been around 88, between 88 and 90.
How much was you charging for haircuts in 90?
In 90, I was 3 years in 90. I was probably charging about $8.
Nice. Sounds about right.
I was probably charging about $8. But then one day I went to the barber shop and I looked at my barber station.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a mental note of everything that he had on this station. Like I took like a mental snapshot of it. And I went to this barber store and beauty supply store, and I bought everything that I saw that I had in this mental snapshot. I bought everything that he had, every clipper, every duster, every comb, everything that he had, I bought. And I started really, really taking it serious then.
And you were around 15, 16 at this time?
I was about 15 or 16 at this time.
And this was your first time investing heavy in yourself?
Exactly.
Nice.
And I set up a barber station in my mother's basement. I had lights. I had my whole clipper set up. I had everything that was in the barber shop I had set up in my mother's basement. And eventually, shortly after that, a friend of mine had a brother who cut hair in his basement. And he moved on and went to college or something like that. And he sold me his barber chair.
Okay.
So now I'm really doing
You're official now.
I'm official now.
It's spinning.
Right. So I had the barber chair. I had the barber set up. I had the clippers. I had everything. And so by now I'm charging like maybe $12.
Oh, yesterday's price is not the same.
Right. So, it's official. And, this went on for a couple years, and then I grew from my basement to my mother's garage. And this thing was really big by then. And one day my mother came home and I had maybe 15 people in the driveway.
Oh, they waiting.
Yeah, they waiting. And so by now I'm about, 17 maybe. So my clients were all ages.
15?
My clients were all ages. So I got cats in the driveway drinking 40s. This is back when cats drank 40s. I got cats in the driveway drinking 40s, smoking cigarettes. My mother came home one day. She called me in the house. She would never embarrass me in front of my friends.
Shout out to Mom.
She called me in the house and she said, Tarlo, after today, the barbershop is closed. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you had very little time to figure out your next.
I had very little time to figure out my next move. But, by now my business was booming. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a barber. I was good at it.
Yes, sir.
And, after that, I kind of, eventually, graduated from high school, moved into my own little duck off spot and, started getting it in again.
So let me ask you, bro, what's been the most rewarding part of being a barber and running your own shop?
The most rewarding part of having my own barber shop is seeing other barbers grow. I'm really big into kind of quote unquote mentoring people that are younger than me. And when I say younger than me, not necessarily age.
Sure.
But just younger than me in the business.
Yeah.
And in life. And so I really enjoy and get fulfillment out of seeing others grow from one level to a next. And it makes me grow as a person because when you have a responsibility of mentoring somebody or being a leader in somebody's life, in my opinion, it makes you grow as a person because your expectations are a little bit higher. Because if you expect something from somebody, you have to be showing those same expectations for yourself, in my opinion.
So the law of the lid, I refer to the law of the lid all the time. As a leader, I'm always working on myself. And the crazy thing about it, the law of the lid rates a leader from 1 to 10, 0 to 10.
Okay.
And the law of the lid simply states that a 2 leader can never lead a 6 leader. Right? A 6 leader can never lead a 9 or a 10 leader. Crazy thing about it is when I was a 2 and a 3 leader, I thought I was it. And I thought I was entitled to have everybody follow me because I'm the leader. Come to find out, the more you learn, man, the more you grow to what you're saying, there's always more to grow. And you can't expect, because you got some stars that have come through and that are currently here. You've had some sure enough, some standout guys that have worked alongside you on your team here. And you can never be a 5 leader expecting for 7, 8, 9s to stay here. And so shout out to you for working on yourself, man.
Yep.
How has your business changed over the years, and what have you learned from those changes?
So I started off as a leader in the barbershop industry as a manager. I managed somebody else's shop for about 5 years before I opened up my own shop. And one of the main things I learned from that experience managing a shop before I opened up my own shop was that you can't expect everybody to be you. And when I say that, I mean, I wake up every morning with the mentality of I'm gonna do this, that, and this, that, and the other today to make a successful day. And I'm pretty strict on myself as far as being on time, being consistent, being diligent on a day-to-day basis. And I kind of have those expectations for other people as well. So when I was managing, I kind of had an iron fist. Like, yo, this is what time the shop opens. This is what time you should be here. This is what time the shop closes. This is what time you should leave. This is how you should act as a barber on a day-to-day basis. This is, you know what I'm saying? This is how you should carry yourself.
Rules and robots.
This is how you should basically be me. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. Yeah.
And through that, I found that everybody's not me.
Yes, sir.
Everybody doesn't have my same grind. Everybody doesn't have my same drive.
Fact.
Everybody doesn't have the same desire to reach the goals that I have the desire to reach. So what I learned is that you have to meet people where they're at. And
that's good.
You have to understand people's goals and ambitions and lead them from what you find out about the person, as opposed to having a strict guideline on what you expect somebody to be.
Instead of a mandate.
If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. What I'm hearing you say is instead of mandating what they should be and how they should operate, you're coaching. This is what coaching is you are figuring out what it is that they want, and then you're helping them get there, given your experiences. That's fire, man. Tarlo, you have experienced unimaginable losses with the passing of your brother and your daughter.
Yep.
How have those events shaped you as a person and as a father?
So with my brother and I grew up very, very close. He was 3 years older than me. And so at different stages of your life, that 3 years means different things at different times, at different time periods growing up. And when I say that is, I mean that, when I was 2, Big Brother was 5. You know what I'm saying? And he's Big Brother, so I'm running behind him, trying to be like him. And he's Big Brother. He's old enough to almost play outside and do what so he beat it. You know what I'm saying? So as we got older, that dynamic kind of changes. When I was 10 and he was 13, now he's a teenager, and I'm used to being able to play with my big brother and run around after my big brother, but he's 13 now. So he's getting more privileges and he's able to do more things. So again, he beat it. You know what I mean? So as you get older, that 3 years kind of gets closer. That age gap gets closer, even though it's always just going to be 3. It's always going to be 3 years.
Sure.
It gets closer. So as that age gap, as I got older, that age gap kind of started to get closer for us, and we started to get closer. So when I was 16 and he was 19, now I'm able to do some of the things that he's able to do. He's still older. He's still able to do a little bit more than me, but I'm able to tag along.
It's evening out.
This is starting to even out. And so we got very, very close around that age. 15, he's 18, I'm 16, he's 19. The older and more mature that I got, the closer we got. And so as I was coming into my own and getting closer to him, he started to kind of veer out and get into the streets a little bit more the older he got. We grew up in the suburbs, and we had a very God-fearing mom growing up, a prayer warrior, went to church every Sunday. So, we grew up in a spiritual home where we knew the Lord, and we really didn't fool with the streets too much. We played outside, we did what we did, but we didn't see a lot of drug sale on the corner, drug use on the corner, winos on the corner. It wasn't liquor stores around us.
Right.
So we weren't exposed to that. But for some reason, as my brother got older, he got into the streets for some strange reason. And we got closer, but I started to see him getting closer to the streets as well. And so that kind of hindered our relationship a little bit.
Where was your dad at up to this point? Because at this point, sounds like you are 15, 17 years old.
Yeah.
Where's dad at up to this point?
Yeah, so my mom and dad got a divorce when I was probably 8 years old.
Okay.
And I still had a relationship with my dad, but he wasn't in the home.
Okay.
So he was, I saw my dad on the weekends. He came to my sporting events, things like that. But he wasn't in the home.
And he was close to your brother. Your brother was close to him as well.
Yeah, same relationship with my brother. My brother went over there on the weekends. As a matter of fact, my brother ended up living with him for a little while as he got older and kind of got more into the streets. And my mother, didn't want to, couldn't deal with a teenager, trying to raise a teenager and get him out of high school and deal with a teenager that's out of high school and that's,
starting to develop and smelling himself and getting his own bread.
Yeah, so he ended up moving with my dad eventually. But but we had a relationship with our dad.
Okay.
Anyway, my brother, he got more and more into the streets. Our relationship we were still very tight, but our relationship started to go in different directions because he was doing one thing. I was still in the sports. I was still into the Lord. I was still in the church, and he was started to, dibble and dabble into the streets. And eventually, he got so far into the streets that we were just living two completely different lives, but we were still very, very close. And one thing led to another, and he got so far into the streets that he ended up eventually getting shot and killed. And it hurt me, of course, when you lose a family member that you grow up with, that you're very close with, a sibling. It's gonna hurt. But it was a weird situation because I kind of seen it coming.
I remember we talked about it.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that you kind of felt like it was going to happen.
Yeah. I felt like I was gonna get that phone call. You know how people say one day, I used to tell my mother, one day we're gonna get a phone call that something happened to him. So I got that phone call and it was tough. I felt like he was the closest person to me that we thought alike. Like, although he had his own path and he did his own thing and he went to the streets, we thought very, very similar. So it made me feel like, man, I'm out here by myself now.
Yeah, because nobody else grew up in the same household. Nobody else had the same experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So of course you guys naturally were really close.
Yep.
Yeah. So you felt isolated. You felt abandoned. When did you lose your brother?
I lost my brother in 2024. I was in Charlotte at the time. I moved to Charlotte in 2008. I lost my brother in 2016.
Been that long?
Yep.
Man, and I'm not the best with timelines, and
I'm horrible at it.
It just seemed to me like it was 2018, 2019. Well, 2018, but 2016, and so dealing with the loss of your brother, because we all have lost somebody.
Yep.
Some not a sibling, some not a parent or a child or a spouse. But grief is grief.
Yep.
And dealing with the loss of your brother, 2016, take me to October 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Your daughter, beautiful Peyton.
Yep.
She's a student at Winston-Salem State University.
Yep.
It's homecoming weekend.
Yep.
She's 21 years old.
Yep.
And this is your ace. This is the one person who calls, checks on you, the one person that annoys you in a great way.
Yep.
And you get a phone call.
Yeah, so first of all, Peyton is so I have two daughters, Aaliyah and Peyton. And I got two boys. Well, three boys and two girls. Um, I have three biological children.
Correct.
My oldest son, Tarlo, my middle son, Taylor, and my youngest daughter, which was Pepe. Okay. So Peyton was my baby girl. She was the youngest, and she was my only biological daughter.
Yeah.
Great relationship. Growing up, she was a daddy's girl. If anything ever happened, she running to daddy. If she got hurt, she was running to daddy. If something happened, she was running to daddy. I remember one day, my wife at the time and I were at the mall with Peyton, and I ran into one store, and Peyton's mom and her went into another store. Mm-hmm. And I'm 5 stores down the hall, bro, in the mall. I hear, "Daddy!" Peyton starts screaming at the top of her lungs, 5 stores away from where I'm at. And I'm like, the world, I'm like,
you're not in the breezeway, you're in the store.
I'm in the store, bro. I'm not even in the vicinity of this girl. And I'm like, is that Peyton? So I call her mom's phone.
Okay.
And she answers, and I'm hear Peyton in the background screaming. She's screaming, "Daddy, Daddy!" So I'm saying that to say that this girl, she was a daddy's girl. She was with her mom.
Yeah.
Right next to her.
On the daddy.
And she's screaming for daddy.
Yes, son.
She was 5 stores down the hallway. But that's the type of relationship we had. We were very, very close. Peyton was a very, very, very passionate person. Kind of passionate to a fault. She would have friends, and she would call me and be like, "Yo, Dad, like, such and such was my friend. We were super cool, and I called her to ask her to go to the mall today, and she said she can't go to the mall today. Like, I'm cutting her loose." I'm like, Peyton, like, you can't cut your friends loose because they don't want to go to the mall with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you might call them tomorrow and they might be cool with it. You know what I'm saying? But she was just that passionate of a friend that she felt like if you don't want to do everything I want to do with you every time I want to do it, we really ain't friends.
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
Ain't no other option.
So that's why I say she was passionate. She was a passionate friend to a fault.
Yeah.
And she would call me every day, asking me what I had going on. "Let's get it, Dad. It's top of the morning, Dad. Let's, you on the way to the shop. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it. We're going to get it in today."
She was pumping you.
Yeah, she pumped me up like that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the question that you asked me. I get a phone call. She's in school. I talk to Peyton just about every day. She's in school. It's homecoming weekend. I talked to her the night before I got this phone call, and everything's fine. She's got homecoming stuff going on, and she's called me and asked me what should she do about a situation where a couple of the college students sent her to the store because she was 21 and she was driving. They sent her to the store to get alcohol for the homecoming weekend or whatever. And so she called me and said, "Dad, they got me, going to the store to buy all this liquor or whatever. What should I do?" And, I'm like, "Peyton, first of all, you shouldn't be buying all that liquor because the night's not going to end well for you." And so she was like, "All right, you're right. Well, call me later and check on me." And I said, "All right," left it alone. Called her back. She said, I didn't end up buying the bottles. We didn't end up drinking. I'm just chilling for the night. And so I'm like, relieved, like, cool. You know what I'm saying? I can sleep easy tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because you always sleep with one eye open when your kids are in college or when they're out, or you know what I'm saying. And so that just had me rest a little easier that night, if you will. So the next day, I'm going about my day. I think my sister-in-law got married maybe a week prior, and she was having like a what do you call it?
Shower.
Like like a reception, like a wedding reception.
Okay.
Like it was like a wedding reception brunch or something like that. And Peyton was supposed to come, but she didn't come because it was homecoming weekend. And so she called my sister-in-law that day, congratulating her and, telling her she wished she could be there, whatever. And, just giving her blessings or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that whole day, for some reason, I had an uneasy feeling about Peyton. She was just on my mind. I don't know if it was because of the situation where she was buying alcohol. I was just worried about her all day that day. And so later on that evening, I get a phone call saying, "Have you talked to Peyton?" And I was like, yeah, I talked to her earlier or last night. Wow, what's up?
Who called you?
A friend of mine, Marcus, a guy I used to cut hair with, who we kind of built a relationship. We were pretty close. Mm-hmm. And he had a niece that went to the same school Peyton went to, and they actually stayed in the same dorm.
Okay.
And so I think she called him and said something's going on with Peyton. It's all these police around her room. Call her dad, and I don't know what that conversation was, but sure. She got in touch with him. He got in touch with me. Have you talked to Peyton? No, I haven't talked to her since earlier. Why? What's wrong?
Why are you calling me about my daughter?
Why? What's wrong? What's up? Just call and check on her. That's what he said. Just call and check on her. And I thought that was weird, but
sure.
What do? I call and check on my daughter. Mm-hmm. So I called her, she didn't answer. Called her back, she didn't answer. Text her, she didn't text back. So now I'm getting kind of worried because I'm already kind of uneasy about
She's been on your heart all day.
She's been on my heart all day. So I call him back, and I'm like, yo, like, what's the phone call about? Like, what made you call me and tell me that? Well, such and such called me and said police are all around her room, and her roommates are trying to get in the room and they can't get in. Something's going on. And so I'm like, okay, all right, thanks, bye. Now I'm really starting to freak out. So
naturally,
I call the school, and it's after hours. So the only person I'm getting is the campus security. Campus security answers. I'm calling to check on my daughter. Somebody just called me and said something's wrong. Do you know anything that's going on? They put me on hold, and they come back and say the campus sergeant isn't available. He'll call you back. And I'm like,
the hell is that?
That gives me absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right. So I wait maybe like 10 minutes for him to call me back. No call. What do? I tell wifey, I got to go check on Peyton. Something's not right. She's not calling me. She's not answering the phone. She's not texting me back. Campus security can't give me any answers. So I hop in the car, beeline to Winston-Salem State University. On my way out there, I'm calling, and they're telling me the same thing. Oh, the friend is not available. He'll call you back. Never did they once say, something's going on with your daughter. You might want to come. Come to the school or whatever. Are you available to come to the school? There's emergency. Nothing. Just giving me absolutely no answers. Meanwhile, now Peyton's mom has found out that something might be wrong with her. So she's calling me. And so I don't know what's going on. I'm telling her I don't know what's going on, but I'm on the way up there. And so, ironically, my son knew one of Peyton's roommates, and so he called Peyton's roommate. She answers the phone, and she's giving him back and forth information of what she sees. She's just kind of peeking out her dorm room, looking down the hall, and she sees all the chaos going on. And so she's reporting back to him, there's officers in the door. Oh, there's paramedics going in the room. Oh, the paramedics coming back out the room. Oh, the paramedics are taking a stretcher in the room. Oh, the paramedics come out the room with the stretcher, and Peyton's not on it. So at this point, I don't know whether to be relieved or worry even more.
Wow.
Because she's not on the stretcher.
Right.
That means they're not taking her to the hospital. Does that mean she doesn't need to go to the hospital?
Right.
Or does that mean...
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Right.
So I'm trying my best not to completely panic, because I still have an hour to drive, and I'm, want to stay focused. I don't want to get a ticket. I don't want to get pulled over, so I'm just trying to stay
wow.
in the best of...
Trying to stay upbeat.
Right.
You get to the school.
I get to the school, and when I get there, they tell me I need to sign in, and I'm like, I'm not signing in. Like, where's my daughter? I'm here for Peyton Ogletree. Where she's at. Where is she at? Now, mind you, there's police all around the school, police cars, fire truck. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what is going on? And there's nothing in me that thinks that my daughter has passed away at this point, because I know she was completely healthy a day prior.
Correct.
Earlier that day, as a matter of fact. So anyway, long story short, eventually the lieutenant comes down and says, Mr. Ogletree, Mr. and Mrs. Ogletree, let's, go back and talk. And so now I'm starting to really think, something bad has happened, because he's like taking me back into some office. He's putting the blinds down, and you know what I'm saying? I'm like, so now I'm getting like really freaked out. So eventually he tells me, unfortunately, Mr. Ogletree, tonight at 8:07 p.m., your daughter passed away from natural causes. That was a whole situation, because I'm like, natural causes.
I remember we talked about it at great length.
Yeah.
What healthy 21-year-old dies of natural causes.
Right.
So you go on to, first of all, your world just got rocked. And what's that I know you had your moment in that office with the blinds closed.
Yep.
Tell me about the shock coming back up the highway. This is your baby girl.
For maybe a week, you're in disbelief. It's almost like you're literally, you're literally living what feels like a nightmare. Like when people say, like, oh man, it was a nightmare. Like the day was horrible. It was a nightmare. When people describe a situation or a day as being a nightmare, this is like the literal feeling of a nightmare you can't wake up from. So for about a week you're in disbelief. Like, nah. You like literally every day expecting to wake up and hear from your daughter. It's like you literally expect it not to be true.
And of course, I'm sure there are still days where you think, man, is she gonna call me today?
Right. Yeah. So the first, to answer your question, that drive home was just,
A blur.
it's just disbelief. Like, no, this didn't happen. You know, because you're not prepared for it. Not to say that anybody's ever prepared for death. But like with the situation with my brother, I was prepared for that, if that makes any sense.
Sure, no.
Because I expected it to happen in a weird way.
Emotionally prepared yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this, I lost my dad as well. And he had cancer. And he died very, very quickly from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But I was mentally prepared for him to pass away. And you know, the way I view death is, you know, I'm gonna die, you're gonna die, our parents are gonna die, our spouses are gonna die. I've always viewed death as something that I know is gonna eventually happen. You know, so you kind of always mentally prepare yourself um, for the death of a loved one, of a friend, of a brother, of a dad, of a mom, of a grandma, but you never in a million years expect your child to pass away.
Yeah.
So when that happened, it was just, I didn't believe it. Like, that didn't happen. I used to tell my wife, like, like that didn't happen.
And when you lose a brother, your dad, there's multiple people that you can call and say, hey
Yep.
man, when you lost your brother,
Yep.
how did you cope? When you
Yep.
lost your dad, how did you cope?
Yep.
There's a short list of folks who unfortunately have lost their children.
Yeah.
I happen to know two situations, Peyton as well as friends of ours, friends of Tiffany and ours, who also lost their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat of a different situation.
Yep.
She was born having seizures, and she
Yep.
was born, and so she had a tough 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
But still, she wasn't expected to live past toddler.
Yeah.
And so in the mind, you still, okay, this is our normal and we don't expect. So even in that situation.
Yep.
But let me ask you, man, how have you, what methods do you use to cope?
Yeah. So it's been what? October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. It's been around 8 months now. Still feels like yesterday. It's been tough, to say the least.
To say the least.
It's been tough. Coping methods. There's really no answer to that. There's nothing you can do to cope from losing a child.
Yeah.
It's nothing you can do from cope from that.
Are there any specific rituals or memories that bring you comfort?
Not yet.
Okay.
Nothing brings me comfort yet.
Yeah.
Eventually it may.
Yeah.
The way I won't use the word cope because I'm not coping with it well. But the way I keep moving forward, the way I keep waking up every morning with the motivation to continue to move forward, to continue to be quote unquote great, to continue to be the person that other people in my small circle need me to be. is just knowing that she wouldn't want me laying around crying all day. I know she wouldn't want that. Because she was very motivated, she was very motivational, and she wouldn't want me because I could easily lay at home and cry all day, like literally
drinking and crying.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of people do, man, and that's why I'm really, first of all, man, thank you for just, you were open, you were excited about, getting a chance to talk, and just thank you for the gift of your vulnerability, bro.
Yep.
Because there's so many people, male and female, who it may have been 10 years and they're still in that place. I don't know any specifics, but they just may still be in that place, and they are laying around crying all day. And so, man, kudos to you for the fortitude to get up and move forward. We have talked again, man. When I was out on the road trucking, you are one of the real ones who continued to stay in touch with your boy. Hey, Dame, I'm praying for you. Hey, Dame, I'm checking on you. Where you at? Oh, okay, when you going to be back in Charlotte? And you always were reaching out, man. And so you've continued over this past decade plus to just prove to be a great brother, man, a great friend.
Appreciate that, bro.
So at times, like you said, there are a lot of parallels between you and I's personal and professional lives. We've also shared some conversation around depression, and I'm not going to get into everything that can cause depression because I'm not a clinical professional. But I do know what it is to function in depression. And I also know what it is to function even at a high level. Can you talk a little bit about how nobody else can relate when you're day in and day out, you're coming in, and I remember you, I remember you told me it was one of your clients who I may, correct me if I'm wrong, but he asked you how your day was going. You said, "Oh man, I'm just thinking about my daughter." And you had to remind him that you had lost your. Oh yeah, man, I forgot about that. Right. So you're having to function day in and day out when the world just keeps pushing. Right. When even in our bad moments, man. Nobody else is having a bad moment, and you feel like. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it's life is life and emotions and just the day-to-day things that we go through. Everything's kind of, for me, it's all about perspective, right? You're gonna have your tough moments. I think about Peyton a lot, and it brings me to tears. But at the same time, like you said, people don't, and it's of no fault of their own that they don't empathize with people on a moment-to-moment basis. And that's because everybody has their own stuff going on. So no matter how big or how small your situation is, everybody else has other stuff constantly going on. And I understand that. So for me to expect other people to constantly be checking on me or constantly understand or constantly feel the way I'm feeling, to me that would be kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Selfish. It would be kind of selfish for me to expect everybody to feel the way I'm feeling. Like even my spouse, um, my current wife isn't Peyton's mom.
Mm-hmm.
So on the days that I'm feeling, or the moments that I'm feeling depressed, or not even depressed, or down, I can't expect her to feel down because she's not me.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't know what I'm feeling. So unless I express to her what I'm feeling, I can't expect her to feel down when I'm down. I can't expect you to feel down when I'm down. And originally, I felt like everybody should feel that way. Everybody should feel the way I'm feeling.
Bro, you see I'm over here. I'm a mess right now.
Yeah, it's
I don't know why, Lo. This is how I'm made.
yeah,
And I didn't ask. I didn't choose. I didn't go through the dictionary and say elephant,
yeah,
elevate, empath. Ooh, I want to be an empath.
yeah,
I just, this is how I'm wired, bro.
yeah,
And when you said I can't expect everybody to feel how I'm feeling, um, I don't know what just happened, man, but
yeah,
I became overwhelmed with emotion just now, because from the moment that you found out about this thing, I've been in it. I've been feeling it
yeah,
as a father, as a girl dad. I've been
yeah,
feeling it with you. There's times I didn't tell you this. I've been sitting around with Tiff, and she was like, "What's wrong?"
yeah,
And I said, "Tarlo."
yeah,
Because I can't imagine how hard it's been for you, bro.
yeah,
I can't. I mean, I'm right here with you, but it's still not my baby,
yeah.
and I can't imagine, bro. So, shit.
Yes, it's it's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable, bro. Um,
Oh God.
and you know what makes it tough is that you know you have to watch other people with their daughter.
I'm already
You have to. Me being in the business that I'm in, I
hearing
have to watch.
stories. You see daughters coming in the shop.
Yes.
You leave out. You see daughters and dads,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
TV is all about family and daughters.
Right. I have people sitting in my chair that are going to get their daughter from college. I got people sitting in my chair that
Going to walk the daughter down the aisle.
going to walk their daughter down the aisle. I go to weddings where
Dads are giving away daughters.
dads are having the dad and daughter dance at the wedding. Um, I go to graduations where
Uh,
I'm celebrating somebody else's daughter at their graduation. It's just a constant reminder of you'll never be able to walk your daughter down the aisle. You'll never be able to watch your daughter graduate. Um, my my wife's daughter, my stepdaughter,
mm-hmm,
got her first apartment
mm-hmm.
um, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going over with my wife to celebrate that with her and her daughter, which I consider my daughter as well. With
Of
our
course.
my bonus daughter.
Of course.
I'm going to celebrate that with her. I'll never be able to see my daughter get her first apartment. Um, so it's just those types of things that every time you feel like, okay, this wound is healing up,
It never will.
somebody comes and slices it open again. And the tough thing about that is that I can't be emotional about that. at those times because
You don't want to take from other people.
I don't want to take from somebody else's happy moment.
You can be honest though.
I can be honest about it. I can be honest with myself about it.
Yeah.
But that's probably the toughest thing about it when you say that nobody's going through it with you. Because at those moments, my wife that light doesn't turn on for her. Like, man, I wonder if Tarlo's thinking about Peyton right now.
And it's not that she doesn't care.
And it's not that she doesn't care. It's not that she's being selfish
celebrating
about it.
her daughter's moment.
She's celebrating her daughter's moment, as she should, as I should.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, yeah, I can be honest about it, but what I've learned through this is there's a lot of times where we as people try to make moments about us when they're not about us. And so I try my best to let everybody have their moment and not make this moment about me.
I don't know. Is that the healthiest thing for you?
It's the healthiest thing for me because I've learned to deal with it internally.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the healthiest thing because me sharing happy moments for other people brings me joy, and it helps me with those in the moment sad feelings, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, this is another example of leadership, right? When you have the opportunity to say, what about me?
Right.
But you're choosing to allow other people their moment. And salute to you, man. This is the thing I want to say to you is that we can help each other carry our cross, but it's still got your name on it. It's still yours to bear. My cross of being super empathetic to the plight of men and all of the things that we deal with from childhood trauma all the way up to societal expectations and the expectations we put on ourselves. Me having to bear that burden of being able to relate to all of those things. You can help me share in that burden, but it's mine.
That's right.
And not mine in the sense of, hey, this is my company. No, that's not what I mean. If I don't give a damn, nobody's going to give a damn. This is my burden to bear. This is my cross. And it's the same as anybody else who's got a cross to bear, man. And so it's always going to be there. I don't think healed. I think healed is a lie. Healing is continual. I don't think healing is ever a finished, because as we change, as we grow, as time goes on, you're going to change as a person. And like you said before, perspective. 20 years from now, you'll have a different perspective than you do 8 months in.
That's right.
And so I think, man, give yourself some grace. It's not selfish for you to be honest in those moments. And you don't have to grab the microphone to do that.
Right.
But especially maybe even with your spouse, especially, maybe doing a recap after, hey, in case you will want, this is why I ducked off during that moment.
Yep.
I was really going through it internally,
Yep.
and I need you to know so that not so you can bring attention to it in the future, but just so you can be aware. And man, you know, man, I got some other questions because you and I have a lot of parallels as far as being divorced and remarried,
Yep.
blended families, raising other men's kids.
Yep. We could
So
talk. We could talk for hours, bro.
Entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
and the bumps and like we could talk for hours. But I mean, I think this has been excellent, bro. I think this has really captured who you are as a person, as a man, and I want to publicly go on record and say I love you.
Yep.
And I appreciate you.
Yep.
And I don't say that. That's like there's only a few that I really consider my brother.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. Yeah, much love always, man. You know, it's been times. You know, one thing that is important about this, bro, can we talk? Is that as men, we talk about real surfacey stuff.
Yeah.
Sports, females, rap, music,
Range Rovers, everything except what's real.
Yeah, real surfacey stuff. And I think it's important for us as men to talk because a lot of people are going to counseling and therapy and different things like that, which I don't knock that at all. You know, I mean, people that seek therapists and seek counseling and different things like that, it's wonderful. You know, if you get on a platform that allows you to speak your piece and do whatever it is that they do in therapy session and counseling sessions, that's great. But having a conversation with somebody that knows me, I think, and that can relate to me, I think is more important than talking to somebody that
Has to fill in the blanks.
Has to fill in the blanks and gets paid to talk to you.
Paid to care. And I'm not knocking that industry.
Not by no means am I knocking the industry, am I knocking anybody that goes to counseling, but I think
you can't beat the authenticity of genuine relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that you know what you're doing is a great thing. I think Bro Can We Talk is the name is perfect because that's a serious question that I think we need to ask each other. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Bro, can we talk? Like seriously, can we talk? Because a lot of us have a lot of things inside us that if we could just get it out, it might make for a better day. It might make for a better tomorrow. It might make for a better situation when you get home to have a conversation that you needed to have with your spouse, or when you get home and have a conversation that you needed to have with your daughter, when you get home and have that conversation that you needed to have with your son. You know?
Absolutely. I always say that when the man is healed, the rest of the household lines up. Because it starts with us. We are the head.
That's right.
And when the head is right, the rest of it's gonna flow. It's gonna fall in line. Bro, I appreciate this time. I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate you welcoming me into the shop. And I'm glad we were able to put this together.
Yeah, no doubt, bro.
My brother.
Hopefully we can do it again. It's a lot more we can talk about, homie.
Yes, sir.
Love appreciate you, home. Love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.